Okay, welcome back everybody. So we've a couple of great presentations this afternoon, and first up, great to introduce, we have Dr. Sean Daffy here, we've Dr. Kevin Cunningham, and we've Anne McEvoy, and we've Ruth, Bennett, Coady, and this is a great team that have been working together as learning designers and technologists in the area of sustainability, and it crosses over 3 projects underway in the Institute. So really looking forward to hearing about how you've embedded sustainability in the curriculum design. So I'm going to hand over to Sean.
Thanks, Karina.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. So today we're going to showcase, as I said, 3 resources. Here in AIT, we've sustainability has been identified as one of the main themes in our programmatic review, and we've been working on a lot of resources about sustainability and using sustainability, and they target key industries. The first one will be RURUP, which targets agriculture, and the second one, the DASBE project, targets the built environment and building industry. And the third one is an interesting project where we're looking to integrate resources, what we're calling this a modular digital resource. This is learning objects around the different sustainable development goals of the United Nations, and making resources that lecturers can bring into their programs, either as sub-courses or as individual objects, depending on the sustainable development goals that are relevant to their subjects. So first up, I think Ruth is going to talk to us a bit about the RURUP project. And yeah. And you can sit, you can stand or sit up, and you just can use the arrows to get you comfortable here, so this isn't in your way.
Thank you.
Would you rather stand or sit?
I'll stand, yeah.
Stand, and you just hit the arrows.
Okay, perfect.
Oh no, sorry. Is there a clicker?
Do you want to go first?
Hang on, did you click there? Did you go
Yeah, it's going to DASBE.
DASBE is, where are the words? Oh no. I think we may have popped them in the wrong order. Let's just go back and forward. Sorry about that. That's my...
I have them on the memory stick as well.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh no. So if you have yours, Ruth.
Yeah.
Why don't we start with DASBE then?
Yeah, we can start with DASBE and you get yours ready, Ruth. Sorry about that. We're just going to use the keyboard. Oh, hang on. No, I don't want to do that. I've done the wrong thing now. So sorry. From beginning. And we'll go straight. Oh, what have I done? Save me. Oh, hang on. Go back to edit. Oh, here we go. Okay. Slideshow. From beginning. Okay, sorry folks. So DASBE, sorry.
Hi everyone, so my name's Anne McEvoy. I'm an instructional designer, and I'm here to talk about the work I've been doing on the DASBE project. So DASBE stands for the Digital Academy for the Sustainable Built Environment, and the aim of this project is to develop a hub for upskilling, capacity building and education in the building sector, specifically on green construction, circular economy and digital skills. So this project is a 5-year HCI Pillar 3 funded project, and it started back in 2020 and will be continuing to 2025, so that's 5 years. There's actually 2 academic partners involved, so there's us at ATU, but then also TUS, the Technical University of Shannon, Midwest and the Midlands. And the project coordinator for this is actually Seamus Hoyne, who is from TUS, and then we have Dr. John Scahill, who is project managing it for ATU. So along with the 2 academic partners, we also have 2 industry partners, which is great, the Irish Green Building Council and the Tipperary Energy Agency. So what exactly is the DASBE? So what exactly is DASBE? It's a building, we build digital capacity to promote and support sustainable construction practices. And what we're focusing on is continuous professional developments, CPD certs and programs, and we're going to do this in a flexible manner. So this is achieved through the creation of a digital platform, and from here you can access a range of programs. So these range from level 6 to 9, and there's also special purpose awards. We're looking at micro credentials, and we're also looking at digital badges. So how does it work? So you log on to the digital or the DASBE hub through dasbe.ie, and from here you're able to choose which topic you're interested in, and these are based on the DASBE pillars of energy efficiency, circular economy, and digital skills. So from here you can filter what courses you want. If you find a program you're interested in, from here it will link you to the relevant institute where you can access and apply and undertake the program. So here I just have highlighted some of the programs that are available that we've developed here at ATU. We've master's, postgraduate certificates. One is in circular economy leadership for the built environment. We've one for built environment regulations. We also have a certificate in fire safety. We've one in energy conservation and environmental services. There's a master's and postgraduate diploma and certificate in building information modelling and digital leadership. And we also have a higher diploma in engineering in residential energy retrofit management. And this one is actually a joint program that's been developed with ATU and TUS. And it's a level 8 60 credit module, and it's going to be made up of 3 minor awards. So retrofit, fabric retrofit systems, and then there's one more, residential retrofit management. So that's just a joint venture we're undertaking between the two. And then there's also the Future Build Education, the Future Build Educate suite of CPD programs, and I'm going to be actually looking at this in further detail later on. But this is just, again, just a highlight of some of the programs that are on offer. So if you're interested, do visit the dasbe.ie hub, and you can get a full list of all the programs that have been developed. So now I'm going to come to Future Build Educate, and this is a group of suite of programs that are being developed with the support of DASBE. So heading up the development, this is Irene Hayden here at ATU. So what's been developed is a suite of built environment courses that deal with building regulations and looking at the best practices for this. So what we've done is there is a suite of different courses. Some are long, some are short, but we've grouped them according to building environment to create different learning paths. So we've grouped all the courses that are relevant to dwelling houses, to apartments, school, etc., into different learning paths. So I'm going to look at just one of the courses that has been worked on. It's still under development and will be ready in September. So that's the Ecofon St. Globan Acoustic CPD course, Wellness and Biophilia. And from here, this course is designed to introduce the fundamentals in relation to biophilia and biomimicry in the built environment. It's like all the Future Build Educate modules, it's an asynchronous online course. So what's really important here is that there's a need for clear support and guidance throughout the course. So what we've done here is we've provided learners straight away with an approximate learning time, so they know how long the course is going to be. We've added a course to-do list of tasks and activities, so they know exactly what's involved. And if you'll see, maybe you'll see on the right, we started with the sidebar. We have a progression course progress bar, just to let learners know what they've done, what's left to do. Underneath this, we've included some navigation links so they can navigate back to the Future Build Educate website. They can navigate to the different learning paths as well. And then underneath this, we just have a support. So we've room here that we're going to include a support email, and then we also have a link to a video just showing the users or learners even how to navigate through the Future Build courses. So now we come to the course content. So this course is made up of a podcast that was developed by Ecofon, along with multiple choice questions. So learners will listen to this podcast and then they will undertake the quiz. So we've looked at audio as a delivery method by giving learners a podcast. It's more of an informal conversation. It's kind of done in an interview style, conversational style. We're also interested to see, it's also interesting to see if users or learners will use it as a play and go. Maybe they'll start the podcast, they might make a dinner, they might go for a walk. And it's also well suited to the content, kind of being acoustic in a built environment. So then after they've listened to the podcast, we have a 5-question MCQ. There's unlimited retries in this. We've put in different question types like multiple choice, fill the gap, complete the sentence. Because this is asynchronous and online, we wanted to keep kind of the integrity and the fairness, so we set a passing grade of 80. We've also ensured that the 5 questions are randomly drawn from a question bank of 18, and also the answers are shuffled, just to try and keep it as fair as possible. So once they've listened to the podcast, they've completed the assessment, we're asking the learners to take an evaluation so that we can kind of evaluate the success of the course. So along with Moodle analytics, like the reports and the quiz reports, we're also asking them to complete a questionnaire, and this will be done anonymously and they can opt in or opt out. So the purpose of this is we want to use the data to, number one, evaluate the effectiveness as audio as a delivery. And then two, we want to also look at some research on teaching and learning using asynchronous delivery. So once they've completed the questionnaire, if they choose to do so, they'll get their CPD certificate. So what we've done in Moodle is we've restricted access to this until they pass the test, and then they can get their cert. Information will contain in the cert is their name, date. They'll also get their assessment results and the scope of the learning, along with some other information. And then it'll be available for them to download immediately once they have it, and it'll also be emailed to the learner. So as you can see, that was a very quick overview of the DASBE project and just some sample of work that's being developed. So if you are interested, you can go to dasbe.ie. There's a newsletter, there's social medias you can follow to keep up to date. And I've also included my email and John Scahill's email. If you have any direct questions, you can contact us there. And that's it. Perfect. Thank you. I think we're holding questions till the end of all our presentations. Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Ruth, Bennett, Coady. I'm a research assistant with an agroecology team here on the Galway campus. I'm just going to give a bit of background into a project that I've been working on with Dr. James Moran and Kevin and Sean from the Teaching and Learning Office. So the project we've been working on is called RURUP, and it was set up to develop innovative education for sustainable development in peripheral rural areas. So RURUP is a 2-year Erasmus Plus strategic partnership that began in October 2020. It involves 7 different partners across Europe, and all of these partners are individual universities. In Ireland, we have the ATU, or when it started, it was GMIT. The project is led by the University of Thessaly in Greece, and the main output of the project is an educational course that's targeted towards masters and PhD students in like ag science and rural development, conservation biology, ecology, forestry disciplines, and also business and economy modules with an agricultural focus. So the main project objective for Europe is the development of new knowledge concerning the sustainable development of peripheral rural areas. There's 5 main aims. The first is to identify the specific skills and competencies that the labour market requires of recent graduates in peripheral rural areas. And from this then to develop the current curricula for these students to meet these skills and competencies. The third is to improve the collaboration between higher education institutions and potential employers. The fourth is to also support the role of professional teachers and lecturers of higher education institutions in peripheral rural areas. And then the fifth is to make all of the educational resources from the RURUP project openly available across open educational resources in Europe. So the project is focused around sustainable development of peripheral rural areas, but what are these? So these areas are rural areas facing natural constraints or limitations on food and fibre production. These could be areas that are mountainous, of high nature value farmland. They could be national parks or areas that are valued for nature, such as Natura 2000 sites. And peripheral rural areas are high value in terms of cultural and natural heritage, but these agricultural landscapes are not typically included in agricultural education. But they're quite important. They contribute towards 30% of Europe's agricultural areas. And even just in an Irish context on the map, the green on the map are high nature value farmland areas in Ireland, which are peripheral rural areas. So you can see it makes up quite a portion of it. So RURUP takes a multidisciplinary approach with stakeholder engagement in creating the educational resources as part of the programme. So in practical terms, the Aurora project aims to have 6 main outputs or deliverables. The first is identifying the education needs and gaps for sustainable development of these peripheral rural areas across Europe. And from this then is to create a syllabus and an online course that will be rolled out across the 7 partner universities. The third is to support this online course and syllabus with a bank of case studies, and these will highlight peripheral rural areas that are local to each university. So in the Irish context, our peripheral rural area case study is the Burn and the innovations down there. The fourth output, GMIT or the ATU now is solely responsible for, and that's where Kevin and Sean in the Teaching and Learning Office have been a huge help, and that is in creating a complete digital learning resource and hosting this on a digital learning platform. The fifth output is the creation of a syllabus and materials for an intensive study activity. And in the Aurora project, this is a week-long summer school where all of the online students on the course have the opportunity to go to Greece for 1 week, hosted by the University of Thessaly, and visit a peripheral rural area and learn about it in a more practical sense. The sixth then is to create a reflective report on the approach and the methodology used across the entire project. So just in the wider scheme of things, the Aurora project focuses on 5 of the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. And so education for sustainable development is seen as a crucial factor in achieving all 17 of these sustainable development goals. So you'd hope that the educational resources developed by Europe will empower its graduates to make more informed decisions and take more responsible actions for environmental integrity and economic viability upon their graduation. So that's just background to the course. Yeah.
So I would just like to do a brief tour of the RURUP project. As you can see, it's running on our CPD Learn Online platform. This is a publicly available platform that is run by us here in AIT, but it's available to students or anyone all over the world. You can just register with an email. And I suppose I'll start with the introduction here, and I might actually just go into student view so you'll initially see exactly what the students say. That was a good tip. For the course introduction, we have some videos here, but what we got the students to do initially was to add their introductions to, this is a very simple Padlet page, but it shows you 2 things here. It shows everywhere where there's a student on the course and they leave a little introduction. But it also highlights some of the issues we were having when we were designing this course. It's really here in this one picture. Each one of these is a little introduction by the students to say where they're from, what they're interested in, so on and so forth. But as you can see here, straight away, if we know this is our audience, where we have some issues when we're going to be designing this course that we had to think about. One is language. So we know that the majority of the people taking this course, their first language is not English. So therefore, when we were designing the course, we had to have transcripts readily available. Everything had to be subtitled. You had to take that into account. The other issue was, obviously, the familiarity with the platform. So we have students from all over Europe. Some institutes are using a different virtual learning environment. Some institutions have no virtual learning environment for both the teachers and the students involved. So everything here had to be really scaffolded. We had to show the students this is your next step. We had to create videos every time we asked them to do something to show them how to do it. It was an interesting exercise, and I think it's been very successful thus far because we have students here who have never participated in a VLE taking this course. And then the other issue was how the content for the course was generated. Each of the partners in the different institutions were generating lectures, but they were also generating case studies, highlighting particular things from the various study areas. And what that meant is we had a huge amount of content in relation to the case studies and data. And that was important because we wanted there to be a lot of case studies of how these different peripheral rural areas found solutions to their problems and what they highlighted. But here's the thing, how do you have an awful lot of content and let students who are unfamiliar with this kind of thing navigate it and find, and so they don't end up in this like trail of tears of just PDF after PDF after PDF. So there were a number of solutions we came up with. As the first, as I say, is even introduce yourself. For that one, I have a little video we made showing them how to add their introductions. But first off, we did something really structured. Everything had a number, so everything was stepped. And here we have a course guide using it. And then we had, this is our information and support guide. And this is a box I made early on, but it turned out that this was the solution to a lot of our content problems. Because if you had a problem, you had to contact your host university. You couldn't, everyone's involved here, but the different institutions are grading their students and fitting in to different aspects of their course. So these are our little help desk areas. But as you'll see in a bit, that became really handy, that kind of platform or that structure when we were designing things. So yeah, how we got our students to do it, easy steps. Step 1, module overview. Everything started like this, where there were on the screen slides showing them what they were going to be taught in this module, what they were going to look at and what we expected of them. Then each of our presentations were chunked into 10 or maximum 20-minute sections. And we told them, the students, how long it would be. And we also have a transcript, of course, for every video that opens automatically, so they can translate it or download it or use it. They can download the presentation slides. They also here know their learning outcomes. So they know when they watch this video, what are they supposed to have taken from it? What are the big takeaways they need? As you can see, we have some of these here. And then usually we had a little activity with this kind of logo, and then a quiz or something at the end. And as I say, there was a lot of data in these. So if we go to one of the main things they had to do was pick a case study. Actually, I'll go to the next section. It's a good example. Is they had to pick case studies that they would take on and follow through the course and find related case studies. So again, you see we have our maps here. So if you were going to do your case study from Croatia, you could go in here. And in fact, there's 2 areas in Croatia that you could take your case study from. And then later on, when you were looking to make linkages with other case studies, we used some of the content of the course where they divided some of the responses into different types of innovation you can come up with. We used these lovely logos. So people go, oh, I'm interested in this farm techniques and management solution. This is what I'm interested in. Or we had products and markets, dry stone. So these are all documents that could give a case study. But you can actually then go to Ireland and figure out and get a related case study. So you can see how they do it following those themes in Ireland. And this was a good solution where students could actually go find a case study that spoke to them, find a related one in another country, but without the trail of tears that would if we actually look behind the curtain as to what this would actually look like. Is more than 35 separate PDF documents. So the idea was that by using this kind of interface, we could get the students to actually find their own case studies they're interested in, find related ones, but it organized this information coming from lots of different countries and lots of different places in a way that was really usable to the students. It wouldn't be confusing, it wouldn't be difficult for them. And as you can see, another advantage unrealized by myself at the time as to using this, where we have all the resources listed and hidden, and then we provide little graphic interfaces with links, is we could go straight to this section and we could see what resources we had, who still owed us resources from the different places, and which ones, and if something needed to be updated, we could just go here and replace it and the link would automatically update. So that was sort of an organizational thing that came out of what was good for the user turned out to be good for us as well, organizing the materials that way. I suppose the other issue, we have our completion progress with this was, this is a public available platform, but the students had to be graded on their work within their home institution. So what we have some quizzes in here, but we didn't want to go crazy on the quizzes for stuff. But what we used to get them to do is get their case studies, do a mind map, and then post it, and then they had to discuss it with other students, and the discussion would also form part of the finished thing. And then at the end, what we had was that they would take all the work they had done, make some changes from this feedbacks from their students, and make this personal e-portfolio, which was a document with all the work, the mind maps, the essays they'd done on the case studies, the feedback they got from other students, and how they had implemented that. And they would upload that, and then Kevin did some badges for us. When they did that, they got a digital badge. They also got a digital badge when they got halfway through the course. And then we had to make videos to show the instructors in the different countries how they could go in then and actually find that stuff and grade it. And what that means is when they all the students come to Greece for their case, for their fieldwork, they can really make the most of that time. They've chatted to each other already. They're already on the same page in relation to the amount of work, the amount of background research they've done. They're badged up, and they've got a portfolio of work that they, can show they've been thinking about the issues that are going to be relevant, and they can really, so when the field school occurs in Greece now, they'll get some credits for this, they'll really be hitting the ground running. They'll have all the background done, and they'll all be in the same place, even though they have been in 7 institutions across Europe doing this course in their own time as they go. So that's just a very brief tour of how it's going. We've got about, I think, 30 or 35 students have been doing it. They've been doing well. Some are nearing completion now, and some are about halfway there. And I'd say they're all looking forward to the summer school at this stage. So thanks very much. Next up, we've got Kevin, who's going to talk a bit. Yeah, thanks. It was a challenge. It's an unusual course.
Really engaging. It's just a great example for your colleagues for other courses.
Yeah, so thank you, Sean, and yeah, well done on all the work on that course. As you can see, my role in that one was a little less, so even though I got some credit. But anyway, just I suppose the final piece of the puzzle in terms of this presentation is, let's say, the SDG goals and the resources that myself and Sean have been developing for staff. So basically, we have one page here where all of your 17 sustainable development goals have a section. And, you might have seen that in Ruth's presentation earlier, obviously, because she was linking that to the roar up and where that fits in. And likewise with Anne and the DASBE project, that links into these SDGs as well. So this is for all lecturing staff, essentially in, ATU. So in this top section, basically what is up here is some just instructional videos on how you can actually export any one of these individual SDGs that you might want to use on your course. So you may have one, but you may have several. I'll get onto the several aspects in a minute. So to explain what's within these then, so if I just go to SDG 1, so here it kind of, much like in Europe, it actually outlines what's part of this section and what's in it, what you can expect to do within it. So here you can see that it explains how many minutes it would roughly take to complete each activity, which obviously staff can import this section and get their students to complete this. So the first thing here is an interactive video. This is hosted on H5P and it has a question at the end here. So there's a video for every SDG, and we've developed a H5P to go along with that for those individual videos which have been developed previously. In addition to that then, we've taken some of the targets and indicators which are published by the UN on this. So, this is an accordion. Again, it's a H5P, but it's a really nice way to actually just click in between and I can skip to whatever target I might want to look at. Because as I might get more familiar with them, I don't necessarily have to go through them one by one. I can skip to whatever one maybe I particularly want to look at and recap over. So the accordion is nice for that. In addition to that, we have some more resources. So again, we actually a bit of sustainability ourselves. We reuse some structures from the Roar course, as Sean just showed you. This is actually one of the cards. So we're being sustainable here with our design too. So look, we can just go to more resources. This is the infographic, which basically is there for SDG 1, so people can download that, look through it. Obviously there's actually quite a lot of information in all of those SDG infographics itself. And then to go on further, there's a quiz. So the quiz tests the students' knowledge based on all those previous resources that I've just shown you. So it might be questions from the infographic itself, it could be questions from the targets and indicators, and again a question from the video potentially. But there's, you know, with the video and some of the other resources there might be some overlap, but still it's a way of just assessing the students to check their knowledge, not necessarily, you know, a summative assessment. And then at the end of the section we just have some links to further resources. So the full UN report for SDG 1, you can go to the data portal. There's some more videos and more activities which people can go further explore should they want or need to. So that's SDG 1, and to be honest, look, they all follow the same format, but obviously they relate to the specific goal itself. So we're nearly complete with developing like all of them, and they'll be ready for staff to use pretty soon. But again, they follow the same kind of structure, so that if staff want to use them, students will also get used to it and get used to learning what they can from these individual sections. So I mentioned earlier as well about taking several of these, because actually with regards to the UN and the SDG project, there's actually themes. So if I just go here to this other course which we've also created, so it's the people theme, and so this encapsulates several goals all in one. So actually what you could do, if you want to have, if your module relates to the people theme or the planet theme or the prosperity theme or the partnerships theme or whatnot, there will be basically a course page for each of those. And what you can do is basically add this course as a sub-course activity on Moodle itself, because that's actually quite a new enough feature on Moodle for our site. We've had it added this year. You can basically add an activity, so like add an activity like you would a quiz. You can add a sub-course and add this people theme to your course if all of those particular SDGs are relevant. And again, it's not like anything new here, it's just grouping these particular themes that are relevant, particular SDGs to this theme in one place, rather than potentially having to do that 6 times if you were if all of those were relevant to you. So that's kind of more or less it. I just thought I'd demo and show what will be available very shortly. And just to wrap it all up, I suppose that's kind of an overview of the 17 SDGs, and as you've seen in the presentations earlier, those were some different kind of, you know, sub kind of areas that have come from it as well. So if there's any questions on that, either online or in the room, myself, Sean, Ruth or Anne will do our best to answer them.
They're fantastic, Kevin and all. I don't know, can you hear me?
Yeah.
But they're fantastic. Is this work you're doing with Mark Kelly as well?
Yes,
Right?
this is with Mark, yes.
Yeah, so this will be available through the Centre for Sustainability.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So is there a badging system going in behind this, like a digital badge, or how, is it a case we just pull them into our courses, or?
So not with this, because this is kind of targeted for staff to use with the students, but there is another kind of separate thing where we are developing a badge, and yes, that's for staff. So that will be actually, that's a separate project that we're working on and just got started with Mark, and we're linking in with the other institutes which are working.
National Forum.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I was wondering where they're crossing over.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, but this is fantastic for students and
Yeah.
very relevant, as we've just gone through programmatic review, or we are still going through programmatic review.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
sustainability is a big theme for, and this is something to take off the shelf and pop it in. I like the way, is it further up, sorry, in the diagram you had about which was relevant to the planet?
Oh, yeah.
And
This one here.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And just Maura Stevens from the library just wants to add that the online resource Sustainable Development Goals is online, which can be used in conjunction with the Moodle course. So there must be resources in the library, is there?
Yeah,
Yes.
there's actually great educational resources that the UN have made available, and we've made use of some of them there as well.
So is it the UN one or the library one you're saying?
The library, so ATU, I guess, ATU
Oh, yeah.
Galway library.
Ah, yes,
Does
okay.
have resources that align with us.
Yes, okay. Yeah.
We just found out this morning that nationally through TIA, all the technological universities, we've been awarded 37 million euros of funding.
Okay.
And there's a huge theme around sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely.
Education for sustainability in that
Yeah.
National Resilience Development Plan for the technological university. So
Yeah.
I'm sure the project, when it takes off, would love to hear about it.
Yeah.
You know, all of this and embedding it in.
Absolutely, and like
Yeah.
I suppose that was like the key purpose of developing these types of resources, as in course pages that have resources. Like you said, as part of programmatic review, sustainability is a key area, and by creating these resources for staff to use with students, obviously we're making it a little bit more what would you say, accessible or easier to embed those in any course that is relevant to a theme or a particular SDG or whatever it might be. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I love the course design, Sean, and the course design of the other.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I just think that's a great template to roll out there on those MOT sessions.
Yeah.
To show, there's some really brilliant examples that you've all done. I
Yep.
know you've all had different courses that you've developed, but they're just fantastic. The design is so engaging, isn't it? They're really exemplars of excellence to show. I can see there's comments coming in there from other designers. Philip in Donegal has made a few comments as well. So
Lots of praise.
yeah, so they're fantastic. And the work going on in DASBE as well, fantastic. And I know we're familiar with Irene Hayden's work, the Future Build, and you're building on that. And also the work in your you're connecting in and that together, really, so it's fantastic. So, any other questions? Any questions online, Jessica? No? Okay. Okay. We're ahead of time.
Yeah, we're efficient.
We can take a little break actually then. Who's thanks Kevin. We'll see. Thanks a million. Well done. That's super. Really inspiring work, I must say, by the designers here in Galway, and the work you're doing in collaboration with colleagues here in the university. So next up, we actually have a break. We can take a break for 15 minutes. Is that right?